Welcome to the class. So basically I am teaching you how to read Tibetan, and at the same time I'm Tibetan language teacher, so I have explained the same lesson in Tibetan. So after watching this video, please watch the one explained in Tibetan so that you will get exposed to Tibetan language. And at the same time, if you if you get exposed to Buddhism, and then if you know what is written in religious texts, I think it will encourage you to read religious texts at the same time. So basically we are learning how to read Tibetan. Sa ngata nga nga narongo na ngun hao pa ga sa pak pa ngun pak pa kata yata ha na katya na. So every time you see something like this, you must know that this is a word coming from Sanskrit. Bao sa naroso da su sa nyata nya nya naronyo ma sa nyom la pa dingbo pe ba sa pe ka yata kya kiku ki ma kim bao da ga dak sha kiku shi ga shik ga kiku gi sa gi pa shabju bu sha kiku shi ga shik pa nga pang na bao sa shabju su nga sung. Ngun pakpa katay na sunyom la pepe kimdak shigi pushik pang na sung. Ngun long ago, once upon a time. Ngun long ago, once upon a time. How pa ga sa pak pa. Every time you see this word with prefix ha and postsuffix sa, you must know that this is the English word noble. Ka ta eta ha na katyana. So this is the name of the noble person. Once upon a time, there was a nobleman whose name was Katyana. Bao sa naroso da su sa nyata nyanya naronyo masa nyom sunyom. Sunyom is an honorific word. ALMS arms. Sunyom. In for someone who doesn't have any money and to go to ask for money, we call it begging for money. But if it is for religious purpose, then we use this word sunyom. Sunyom. La padingbo pe basa pe pasa pe, technically, because the nobleman called Katyana went to ask for alms. ALMS, alms. Or once upon a time, there was a nobleman whose name was Katyana, and he was going to beg so that he can practice the Dharma. pasa pe kayata kya kyakiku ki ma kim bao da ga da kimdak. Kim is a old terminology for house, for the word house. Bao da ga dak is the owner of a house. Shakiku shi ga shik a an owner of a house. Gakiku gisa gi by an owner of a house. Pashabju pu shakiku shiga shikpa nga pang na bao sashibju sunga sung. He was holding in his lap a son, S-O-N, son. So if you are beginner, you must see the dots in between, and to be able to see these dots you have to enlarge with your mobile, otherwise you will not be able to read Tibetan. You must see the dots in the sentence, otherwise you cannot. So you have to enlarge. I'm sure you know how to enlarge with your mobile. Nya sha shakikushi ga shik shakikushi ma shim shakikushi ma shim la ta 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 ra ta sa. And he was eating fish deliciously. So long ago, there was a nobleman called Katyana, and he was going to bake so that he can practice the Dharma. And when he was going, he saw an owner of a house who was holding a son in his lap, and he was at the same time he was eating fish deliciously. Kaida kyakiku ki manaromo shakikushi ga shik rashajurusa rupa hao cha ha cha wa la radatada da narudo. Do radatada darimbo dega dek parapar. And then Kimo is female dog, so in English you call it beach, right? And a beach was chewing the bone he has thrown, Dodik, and he was throwing stone at the beach who was chewing the bones he had thrown. Parapar for his throwing, for throwing, ing, for throwing. Ao pagasa pakpasa pe, by the nobleman called Katyana. Maunga narungo na ngun shadingbo she sa she kayata kya kiku ki sa ki gao sa kiku si ga sa sik pa sa pe. He saw it with his clairvoyance. What the fish was in his past life and what the beach was in her past life. Nya thadingbo desa kataka kayata kya kyadingbo ke wa tha radingbo re sa re kayata kya kiku ki pa da nga dang kayata kya kiku ki manarumo thadingbo de ma ha kiku yi me sakataka kayata kya kyadingbo ke wa yakiku yi na yin shakiku shi nga shing. Kimo beach. Nyate kewa thare ki patang. And with clairvoyance, he came to know that the fish was the father of the man who was eating fish, the father of this bird. The fish was the father, the late father of the man who was eating fish. The beach was his mother of this birth, not past life, not future life, but of this life. Yinxing it was, and Shakikushinga works as and Tsadingbo Chesanga Narungo Nangun Ranga Rangaosa Naruso da Supa Ha Kikuyi Pe Dao Garata Da. Actually, I don't see the dots, but since I'm familiar with these words, I know where the dots are. So you might have to enlarge and see where the dots are. Rang sepe tatingbo te saratasa sanaroso ga sok la na lencha ga sa chak na sa ne. Tsengun, in the past life, in the previous life, Rang sepe da, the enemy he himself killed. He, meaning the man who was eating, one who was holding a son in his lap and eating fish at the same time. Tsengun Rangi Sepe Da, the enemy of the same man who was eating fish. Tsengun Da, enemy of the previous life, whom he killed in his past life. Saratasa Sanaroso Gasok life force. Lana Lencha Gasa Chak Lenchak. If you are familiar with this Buddhist terminology, it is translated in English as karmic debt. Karmic debt. You owe someone something from the past life. And in Tibetan we call it lenchak. And it is translated in English as karmic debt. So the enemy he killed in his past life as a karmic debt purke pasha ju pura pursakata kaya takadang buke sake pa yakiku inayin para par kao sakiku si gasa sik pasa pe, because he saw with his clairvoyance that the enemy was born as his son, as karmic debt for killing his enemy in the past life. Pa sha sa shakiku shinga shing ma la ratatata tatingbo de ka tik. Fa father, sha flesh, sa to eat. So with his clairvoyance, he saw that he was eating the flesh of his father. So the fish was actually his father of this life. He passed away and he was reborn as a fish. And actually, with his clairvoyance, he saw him as eating flesh of his father and hitting with stone at her mother. Gausa naruso da supa kikui pe supe dao garata da wanaruwo pa nga pang na bao sashipchu sunga sung. The enemy whom he killed in his past life, he is holding him in his lap So, in brief, the son he was holding in his lap was actually his enemy. He was reborn in his family as his son, as a karmic death. And the beach whom he was hitting with stone was actually his late mother of this life. And the fish actually was his late father of this life. Chashib chunga chung masa me kayata kya kanaro kyo yakikuyi ra shapchuru sa ru pa hao cha cha. Chungma, every time you see this word, chungma, it is wife, W-I-F-E, wife. Kayata kanaro kyo is abbreviation of kyoga. The wife eats wife chewing the bone of her husband. So yeah, so a wife may think that she's eating pork or mutton or beef, but it can actually be her husband of this life or of past life. Aokanaro kora korwa kiguiwe korwe chanaro chosa chula gada ge manaro mo barata danaro do. Korwa in Sanskrit is samsara. If you are familiar with this dharma terminology, it is samsara. And if you are not familiar with this word, the life cycle of birth and death is korwa. Chanaru chosa phenomena, what appears to us as something. Korwe chola gemodo, I can't help but laugh at this phenomena of samsara. So, so if you want to listen to me explaining it in Tibetan language, I have made one video clip explaining the same lesson in Tibetan. So I request you to listen to it at the same time. So with this, I have to come to the end of my lesson, and thank you very much for coming to the class. Have a good day.